So the structure, how it's going to work tonight is our goal is to get you out of here by 7:30. So we appreciate all of you calling in. We know you're really busy. A lot of you coaches are probably even at practice right now as we speak. So thanks for taking the time and calling in. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of the weekend, just kind of what to expect, where things are located, just everything in general, just kind of a 30,000 foot level, and get into as much details as I can without taking over the entire meeting. We have Samantha Thompson, who is on the call, and she's going to speak to the performance stations that will be taking place as part of staging for opening ceremonies. And so she's going to go through with that. And then at the end of it, we have Jen Palmer, who is our support staff for swimming. And she's going to be able to go ahead and speak to swimming specific questions and what to expect for that. So if you have questions for swimming specifically, just hang tight. That's going to be the end of the conversation, end of the meeting, and then we can get all that addressed. We do have our director of swimming is Carolyn. She has been doing this for a number of years. She has done many of the region competitions as well. She's awesome. She's incredible at what she does. As all of you know, she's extremely detailed and comes with a lot of experience. So we're really thrilled and excited to have her running the swimming GMT as well. And then Jen Palmer, she is another incredible asset. She has coached for swimming, and I'll try to not steal too much of your thunder on introducing yourself, Jen, because I'd like you to do that too. But she has a lot of experience with swimming as well, knows the rules, knows the ins and outs of the operation of everything. So you are all in really good hands. And so before I get going, Jen, do you want to go ahead and just chime in and introduce yourself?
Sure. For those that might remember, I was the support staff for swimming last year as well. So if you were at state last year, if you're not a part of the Southwest region and aren't familiar with me, that is who I am. I've helped for the last few years at the regionals for the Northwest and last year's King County tournament as well. So I may be a familiar face, and some of us have emailed back and forth regarding some changes for state. But as Stephen said, I did coach swimming at the Special Olympics level for 4 years, and for a few years before that I even served as a volunteer at this event. So I sort of have come at it at every angle at this point. So I know how all of the different roles work. I know how the events should be swam, and a lot of you I've even helped try to figure out some of your DQ slips if the officials aren't available. I don't know all of them, but I can sometimes help sort out what they mean, and then anything else goes to Ken, who runs our officials. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with him as well. He's been serving for a number of years, and he's incredible and always has a great group to come out to help officiate. And I know that a lot of them are training this year to help with USA Games as well. So for regionals, we had a surplus of officials, which was awesome. And I would assume that we'll have the same for state. So that's pretty exciting.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen. And also, Samantha, would you mind going ahead and introducing yourself as well?
Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Thompson. I'm the Health and Wellness Manager at SOA. So I run our Healthy Athletes and Healthy Communities program. And like Stephen said earlier, I'm on the call to give you all a little bit more information about the performance station that we've got going on.
Fantastic. And like I said earlier, unfortunately, Carolyn was not able to make the call tonight, but no worries. She's very well informed and ready to rock and roll for this next weekend. And Jen will also be able to communicate any questions or what have you with Carolyn if needed. Also, she could be one to listen in on the recording. So I guess there's another reason why we're recording the meeting. For those of you who don't know, my name is Stephen Opland, and I am the current head of state games, and I have been charged with putting on the spring games here that are going to be happening this next weekend. So I'm really thrilled and excited to be in this position, and it's been fun. It's been great working with such an incredible GMT that we have. We have a GMT of over 50 people that come at it from all aspects and have done this for, oh gosh, a countless amount of years. and they really, their heart and passion for what they do is incredible, and just the experience that they bring. We're really blessed to have such an incredible GMT. The amount of hours that have gone into this and planning, it's incredible, and the length of time that they have already. I mean, many of the GMT, they start from last year, and then they just start rolling right into next year and putting all of their venues and their aspects together. And so it's really cool. We are all in very good hands. So I'm excited to be in this position. It's going to be good. I have, for the past 2.5 years, been the East Region Senior Manager of Sports and Competition. But with the organization, I'm coming on about 9.5 years. Started as a Unified Partner, became a coach, and then am fortunate enough now to be in the position I am with Special Olympics Washington and being able to work with all of you. So it's going to be a good time. I'm excited. As you all know, hopefully, I would really hope you know already that competition state games are happening June 1st through the 3rd. So if you didn't know, surprise, we're coming into it here pretty quickly. Swimming is going to be at the same location, which is the King County Aquatic Center. And so I'd imagine all of you, or most of you, if not all, are familiar with the location and how it's all going to be set up. But we'll let Jen kind of dive into more of the details here a little bit later in the meeting. Swimming will be happening on Saturday, June 2nd. And so that'll be good. It's going to be a great day, an action-packed day of competition. But there's going to be so much more happening over the weekend. So first, what we're going to do is on Friday, teams will be checking in at PLU. They're at the CK room, and that'll start at 2 p.m. and go to 9 p.m. So teams can go in there and they can pick up their coaches' packets, which will also have their credentials, and they'll get all the information they need. Those packets will have schedules, will have all the information you're going to need, incident forms, everything for the weekend. And then everybody on your team should have a credential. If they were listed on your registration, they should have a credential. I know that credentials sometimes are they don't always go as smoothly as we had hoped. So we will have individuals there on site that can help get any problem solved and get things taken care of. But just so you know, if somebody was not on the registration, they will not be getting a credential. So if that's a cause of concern beforehand, definitely reach out to your region manager so we can make sure to address the situation before we get into the weekend. But once you pick up your coaches packets, for those of you staying at PLU, you can go ahead and head to the other side of the room where you will get assigned your rooming keys. And those keys, they're kind of like gold, apparently, because if we do not turn them in on Sunday before we leave, we do get charged. It's over $200 per key. So if you can all really make sure to help us out and turn those keys in, because we really don't want to pick up any of those extra fees. It's actually, if a program does misplace a key, you may be charged. It may come out of your budget for that key. So let's all work together, make sure that we track those down, keep an eye on them, and don't lose those keys. All housing is at PLU this year, and it is dorm style. So everybody needs to make sure to bring their own linens and sleeping bags or sheets, as well as towels. The bathrooms will be community bathrooms. They are gender specific. And so yeah, but everybody will get a key to their dorm. The dorms are lockable. Each dorm room is. Some of them are private where they just have one bed, but majority of them have at least 2 beds in them. So there will be 2 of those individuals. They'll each get a key for their dorm. Once you get once you get checked in for housing and get all your rooming assignments, the team can then go and get settled in, and then get ready to rock and roll for the festivities that will be happening on Friday, which will be the staging process, performance stations, and opening ceremonies. One exciting thing that we're doing this year as part of the staging process is we are bringing in the performance stations to be a part of that. And that will allow us to really capture all of the athletes, or majority of the athletes, and it will just be a nice kind of an activity that's woven into things that are already happening and taking place. So to help speak to that and explain that overall process, we have Samantha on the phone. And Samantha, do you want to explain what they can expect at Performance Station?
I would love to. All right, so like Steven said, we're doing a performance station this year at opening ceremonies, and the idea behind the performance station is that athletes leave with a better understanding of how their health and their fitness connects to their athletic performance. And I'm excited to have the performance station as part of opening ceremonies and staging and those festivities to really kick off the weekend, because I think it reinforces that idea that this is something that athletes should be considering as they go into a competition weekend or as they're getting ready. So I'm happy that we are doing this at Spring Games. I think athletes are really going to enjoy it. When they get to the performance station, they'll go through a few different stations. The first one is the competition readiness station, where athletes will receive a checklist that goes through the different steps that they should be taking to get ready for the weekend or for their competition, what kind of things they should be bringing, how they should be preparing ahead of time in terms of their health and their fitness to be ready to compete. We also have a nutrition station where they'll receive a healthy snack, a hydration station where athletes will get a free water bottle when they go through the performance station. And the hydration station is really cool because they fill up their water bottle right there, and then they have the opportunity to put in things like lemon and strawberries and cucumbers or whatever we have set up that day to make their water a little bit more flavorful. And we do that to show a healthy alternative to the sugary drinks like Gatorade or Powerade, or just a way to make staying hydrated and drinking water throughout the day a little bit more enjoyable. Athletes always really like this station. It's always really popular, and it's great because they get a free water bottle when they go through. And then the other station that we have is the physical activity station, where athletes will make sure they have a plan to warm up and cool down before and after their competitions, and they'll go through some basic exercises with our volunteers there, and that's it. So it's pretty quick and easy, but it's still informative, and we definitely keep it fun. So make sure you bring your athletes through. It's a really great opportunity for them, and it's great that they have the opportunity to focus on health as part of the competition weekend and how that can really improve their experience as an athlete.
Perfect. Thank you, Samantha. Before we let Samantha go, are there any questions for her in regards to the performance station? And for those of you that I went ahead and muted, I'm going to unmute you real quick so you have an opportunity to ask a question if needed. So go ahead if there's any questions for the performance stations. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Well, the performance stations will be from 5 to 6:30 p.m. right there at Foss Field, which is where staging will take place. So those if teams or athletes want to go to the performance stations before staging actually starts, they're more than welcome to. They'll be getting a stamp on their hand, which will indicate that they've gone through it. And then also if they're carrying their free water bottle, that's a pretty good indicator as well. So yeah, that performance station starts at 5, and then staging starts at the Foss Field, starting at 6:15 p.m. And so staging will be from 6:15 to 7 p.m. And we're asking teams to arrive right at that 6:15 mark, if not possibly even a little bit earlier than that, because anybody that arrives after 6:30 p.m., we won't necessarily be able to guarantee your correct placement within your respective area and alphabetically. It's a bit of a process trying to stage all of the teams, getting them placed correctly, as I'm sure all of you are very well aware. It's nothing that you haven't been through before, so you understand the process and the chaos that can ensue with all that. But yeah, so if you can make sure to be there by 6:30 p.m. And with that, we actually do have an opening ceremonies registration link that is posted now. You should have received an email from me, and then it's also up on the webpage as well. So if you can just make sure to register your team, it's very quick and very easy. I see that actually a good number of you have already done that. So thank you so much for registering. But that just gives us a good idea of what to expect and plan accordingly. But if any teams do show up and you did not register, we're still going to get you in the parade of athletes. It just may not be in the correct placement. So any teams that come, any athletes that come, we want them in the parade of athletes. But we do want to be able to plan accordingly and get ready as much as possible beforehand. We're excited to have Bank of America putting on our opening ceremonies again for us. They have been planning quite a while with it. They've been ordering the balloons and decorations and putting the team together that's going to be helping them. So it's going to be a good time. We're excited to work with them again. They're incredible. And one thing that they're going to be doing as well is we're going to set up a PA system that they're going to be playing music, and we're going to have a DJ just kind of playing and having fun. It's going to be a lively atmosphere out there. That way it's not just teams going and just standing there and waiting to go into the opening ceremonies. So that'll be really cool. They're also going to be bringing a crafts table, or setting up a crafts table. That way teams can make their signs, or fans in the stands. People can go and make signs to cheer them on as they come into the ceremonies and what have you. So that's going to be really good and exciting. The opening ceremonies, we're going to try to move through them as quickly as possible. And the ceremonies will start at 7 p.m. and they're scheduled for 8 p.m. That being said, this is a Special Olympics event, so don't be surprised if it starts at 7:15 p.m. and goes to 8:30 p.m. So just have some flexibility with us. But we want to make sure that we can move everybody through with the parade of athletes, and then we have a good lineup of some entertainment and some great speakers, as well as some presentations. Bank of America will have another video that they're going to be showing, and it'll be really good. We have some camera crew coming in that will be projecting all the athletes as they walk in. They're going to be projected up on 2 big screens up on the stage. So it'll be a fun time. We're excited. And yeah, one thing I'm going to backtrack here a little bit, and I apologize. Those of you who did not check in or will not be checking in on Friday, not a problem. You can still get your coaches packets and credentials. Those credentials and coaches packets that are not claimed on Friday will be going to the swimming venue for the following morning. So you can get them at the sports information desk, the check-in table there at your respective venues. So don't worry about that. And then the teams also, I wanted to mention those teams who are being housed. Checkout will be before noon, from 7 a.m. to noon in your respective hall, and that'll be on Sunday. So just make sure that before noon you have everybody moved out and you're ready to rock and roll and turn in those keys in at the respective hall in your dorm. And yeah, that'll be part of the checkout process. So once everybody has a good time at opening ceremonies and we kick off the weekend, then you will be waking up and getting ready for your competition on Saturday. Breakfast will start at 6 a.m. and that'll be located in the Commons cafeteria at PLU. It will be a breakfast to go, so a brown bag, and the teams and the athletes can go down and get their breakfast. They can eat it there, or they can take it up to their dorm or go outside if it's nice out and enjoy some fresh air while they're eating their breakfast. But that will start at 6 and that wraps up at 8 a.m. So that for those of you staying and need to travel to the aquatic center, that should give you enough time to wake up, get your breakfast, and then even take it on the bus with you if you would like. And then you'll go and you'll compete and have a great time at competition in the pool on Saturday. And then on Saturday, we kick up the festivities again. That's when we go into the victory dinner and dance. And hopefully you already know this, but the theme is 80s, and your very own Jennifer Palmer is the one who put that out there for a vote, and the Athlete Input Councils voted on it, and she won. So if you like the 80s, then definitely thank Jen for that. If you don't like the 80s, you can also thank Jen for that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. 80s theme was a great time. I'm excited to see the outfits that'll be coming in there. We have DJ Shane that's going to be playing the music. It's going to be a great time. He's always great at reading the crowd and just knowing the athletes. DJ Shane is actually himself an athlete as well as a coach within Special Olympics. So it's really cool. He knows how to work that crowd and how to reach them and just have a good time. For dinner, Victory Dinner, it will all be at PLU in the Commons cafeteria this year. I know last year we had it kind of spread out at different venues. And looking at the numbers from last year, as well as working with PLU, we feel that we can accommodate everybody in one location and cut back on confusion and logistics of having to send everybody in different directions and teams not knowing exactly where to go. So this year we went ahead and we said, let's put it in one location. Let's accommodate everybody. That being said, to be able to make sure we can accommodate everybody, we did schedule for dinner to start a half hour earlier. So dinner will be from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That being said, you teams, you swimmers being ones that will be traveling and not actually competing at PLU, you will be put into the second shift. We're going to have 2 shifts for dinner. So you will be put into the second shift. That way you can make sure to get back in time. Go to the hair fair. That'll be from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. if you'd like. That'll be right there also in the same building as dinner. So nice and convenient for you. And then be able to head over to dinner, eat some good food. And then from there, you'll head over to the dance, which is from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And then you'll dance the night away. Just so everybody knows, family members who were able to sign up before the deadline, registration deadline, they will be receiving credentials. We'll be emailing it out or emailing them, notifying them that they registered in time and that they'll be getting credentials. So those who did register in time, they are welcome to come and have dinner with the teams and the athletes on Saturday night. And they will need the credential to be able to do that. So they can pick up their credentials also at registration check-in on Friday from 2 to 9. Or if they're not able to get there in time, they can go to the sports information desk at PLU, and that's where they'll have the remainder family credentials that they can gather. For those athletes that may not want to be a part of the dance or it's too loud for them, we will have a quiet room set aside in one of the classrooms in the same building, Olson Auditorium. And then those who perhaps just want to go do some activities instead of dancing, maybe they don't feel they have any dance moves. I know I'm not one that really has dance moves. So if they want to go and do some activities, we will have an activities tent set up behind the field house. It's just going to be a big industrial tent with walls and all that lighting. And they can go out there and then do some activities during the dance if they don't feel like dancing, and it'll be a good time. So then once we have worn everybody completely out by the end of Saturday, everybody then will go back and then go to sleep, hit the hay. And then Sunday, breakfast starts again at 6 a.m. for those teams who are still going to be staying because of maybe you traveled with some other teams that are in different sports that are competing that weekend or what have you. But breakfast is the same process, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., same location, which is the Commons cafeteria. They can pick up their breakfast, eat some grub, go cheer on the teammates that are still competing, and then everybody will head home after competition on Sunday. And don't forget that those teams who are staying the night, you do need to check out before noon and turn those keys in. Also during the weekend, we will have food trucks will be posted at PLU. I know you're not going to be there during the day, but there are going to be food trucks available and operating. And then there will also be an Olympic town that'll be at the King County Aquatic Center, just like in previous years. That Olympic town will be operating from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So definitely make sure to go check that out if you get a break between competition and need to kill some time or go have some fun. Make sure to check that one out at your venue. Oh, let's see. I think that about covers it for the overview. Let me think. Am I missing? Oh, one thing I want to emphasize is make sure everybody is wearing their credentials. It's not only convenient because we can tell who's that they're an athlete, they're a coach, partner, what have you, but it's a big safety concern, and it's a safety measure to have them wearing these credentials. Because if we notice somebody who's interacting or perhaps in an area they're not supposed to be and they're not wearing their credential, we're going to be confronting them, because first and foremost, the safety of our athletes, teams, volunteers, all of that is vital. And so everybody who wears a credential, that means they have a purpose being there. They're playing a specific role. Versus if somebody is located in an area, just for instance, the dance. If we notice that somebody is at the dance and they're not wearing a credential and they're mixed in with the athletes, and we're going to be approaching that individual, and if they're causing any cause for concern, we're going to be approaching them and asking where their credentials are, and then acting accordingly, just to make sure that everybody is safe and that whoever is on the pool deck, at the competition venue, at Olympic Town, at the dinner, at the dance, that they all have a purpose there and that we're keeping everybody safe. But also with that, if somebody gets lost, if an athlete gets lost, their credentials have their name as well as the team that they are with. So we will be, and the sport, so we'll be able to help make sure they get back to their team and remain safe. But also in that too, if for some reason somebody has a medical issue that occurs and they're wearing their credential, since it has their team and their name, that will allow us to better and quicker access their medical information in our database, versus if something happens and they're not wearing those credentials, it's going to take a little bit longer. Now that being said, obviously while they're competing, they are not going to be wearing their credentials. That would be a safety concern as well. So credentials would be taken off, given to their head coaches and or the assistant coaches, and then once they are done competing, those credentials go back on. And let's see, we have a question. So do we still have Sam on the call? No, Sam's no longer here. So the dinner options, as explained to me by Sam, thank you, Amy. She asked, what are the dinner options for Friday night? It's going to be lasagna, and then we have some healthy options in there too. So it's going to be very similar dinner to what was last year, but we made sure to provide healthier options. If somebody does have a specific need, a dietary need, let us know for the dinner. Make sure to bring any special snacks or what have you with the team. But then as far as when it comes to dinner and lunches, let us know, because we want to make sure that we can do what we can to accommodate everybody's dietary restrictions. So before we pass it off to Jen to talk all things swimming, I wanted to go ahead and just take a moment and open it up for any questions. So those of you who are muted, I'm going to go ahead and unmute. And yeah, go ahead. We'll just leave it quiet here, and anybody who's got a question, go ahead and chime in.
Hi, Stephen. It's Amy.
Hi, Amy.
My question is for dinner on Friday night, not Saturday.
Oh, I should have read that. Yeah, you're right. So Friday night dinner will not be provided Friday night. It'll be on the teams to go out and get some dinner.
Right. That's what I'm wondering is, what are our options?
Oh, what are your options?
What are the options? Yeah.
Ooh, good question. I don't know, but if you were to Google food around PLU, I'm sure you would get some options. And I know there's a decent amount, but in all honesty, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, because last year a lot of the restaurants were closed, like the ones that were on the PLU website.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't open for access.
Thank you, ma'am.
They did have a couple food trucks.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if those are going to be back, or.
Yes, yeah, we do have food trucks. We have about 6 food trucks that have been secured, so that way we have more of an option in variety, and then also the cutback on the lane. So the food trucks will be an option. And as far as restaurants go, I'd imagine if you try to get to them around dinner time, you should be pretty safe.
Right.
Any other questions out there? All right, sounds like we have a lot of veteran coaches here. They all know the process and the system, and it's going to be a good time. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass it off to Jen Palmer so that she can speak to all things swimming. details, logistics, and all that fun stuff. So Jen, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
Sure. So we do have a little bit larger of an event this year than we did last year. We have currently 432 athletes and partners that are going to be participating next Saturday. So thank you in advance for your patience. I know Carolyn and her team are already reviewing our master heat sheets to try to see where they can combine races. So as much as we try to go in numerical order with all of the events and try to stick to the event schedule that we send out, Carolyn and her team try to also be really mindful of everyone's time and try to get us back to PLU in time for dinner and the dance. So they may be shifting some things around. So really just watch those marshaling numbers. And I'm sure Carolyn will touch on it on Saturday in our coaches meeting too. But they may be combining heats. So also remind your athletes that just because they're swimming next to someone, it doesn't necessarily mean they're in the same race together. So just to help keep them focused on the event that they're swimming and try not to get too distracted by the person that they're swimming next to. The schedule will be the same for those of you that were at either the Northwest or Southwest regional event this season. The order is the same for East region people. The only difference between this year and last year's schedule was the addition of the 4x25 unified medley relay. So that got added in there, and that would be the only thing that's different than last year's schedule. But those were sent out already, and you guys have which heat numbers are in each event and everything. Just like always, we're going to have relays first, or well, I'm sorry, long distance races will start at 8 if you have anyone doing the mile or the 800. 8:30 we'll have our coaches meeting, and then relays will start at 9. And then obviously we'll try to get through those as quickly as we can. Traditionally, they've only ran on one side of the competition pool, just because of how many volunteers we have that early in the morning. And then once relays wrap up, we'll be able to run both sides of the pool to speed through the rest of the competition. And of course, all of the rec pool events will be in what we like to refer to as the sauna, because it's nice and warm in the recreational pool for those of you that have gone through there. I'm pretty sure everybody has. And like I said, Carolyn will be in our coaches meeting on Saturday to address anything. I don't think we should have anything that would be different than any other year, other than we just have a little bit more. I think I looked at last year's numbers. It looks like we have about 60 more people competing this year than we did last year. So it shouldn't put us too far behind schedule, but we may not get out as early as we did last year, and I would like everybody to be prepared for that. Does anybody have questions about the competition itself? Like Steven said, I think you're all experienced swim coaches and pretty familiar with how things are run at the Aquatic Center.
Hey, Jen, do you know when the heat sheets will be available for us?
Oh, yeah, they're on the coach's website. I think Steven sent the email out on Monday or Tuesday with the link, and it had the password and everything. Those were updated sometime earlier this week, I'm not sure, but it has all the information for the teams. It says delegation report final,
Okay.
the most updated one.
Okay, thanks.
And that it also has, I think these were emailed out, but it also has the relay sheets and any scratch sheets. And if you have any scratches that you know of now, you can feel free to send those in and we can get those athletes taken out.
Hey, how you doing?
And just to keep going on that, thank you for bringing that back up, or not back up, but for bringing that up. The webpage is something that has a lot of information on it. So both the public webpage as well as the coach's webpage. If you are wondering about information, schedules, layout, your delegation report, you are needing access forms or what have you, it's going to be on one of those two sites. So definitely take a look, make sure you go and visit those sites. Some of you, I know you've had a little bit of trouble accessing the coaches page because it is password protected. So I do apologize. Let us know, and we'll work with you on getting you the information you need. But just so everybody knows, the coaches specific page is one that it has more of the sensitive information on it. So, for instance, delegation reports, it has birthdays. That's not necessarily something we want the public to have. So that's why we've created this coaches page. And then even the sport specific forms, that's not something that the public really needs to see. That's more just for you coaches to use. So that's why we created this page, and it makes it a lot easier and quicker for us to be able to get you this information. And then the regular state games page is a great way to send families and the teams, anybody wondering what's going on, they can go take a look there and access the information. So sorry, I'm off my soapbox now. Any other questions for swimming?
No. Oh.
All right, perfect. Well, a couple things. I'm just going to kind of loop back around. I apologize. Jen talking gave me time to look back and see what I missed. Lunches, kind of a big part of the weekend. Lunches will be brought to your venue, and the lunch numbers will be what was on your registration. And so if you are concerned with your numbers or you can't remember how many you submitted, follow up with your region manager so that way we can make sure that we have the correct numbers and meal counts and make sure we get everybody fed. Just so you know, we will only be giving each team the numbers that were on the registration. If we end up having leftovers and everybody's been fed, then we can hand out extras, but only the teams and those on the registration will be receiving lunch. And that is scheduled to be delivered on Saturday at 11 a.m. at your venue. Again, we've all been through this, so if it doesn't show up right at 11, have patience. Give us grace, please, because when you're feeding over 2,400 people, it can be a bit of a process and logistics, making sure everybody gets their food and at the right time, and especially spread out over multiple venues. So, yes, so that will be lunches, and lunches will be meat sandwiches. There'll be some fruit. There'll be a power bar in there, and then everyone will be receiving a small water bottle with each lunch. Then keep going with food. Amy, to answer your question as far as restaurants around the area, I went ahead and I Google searched it here, and you have a decent amount of options. You could do a Mexican restaurant. You could do teriyaki. There's a barbecue. There's also Taco Bell. McDonald's is in the area. And most importantly, Starbucks is not too far away, because I know that all of us don't get a whole lot of sleep. So Starbucks is very nice to have close by. And then there's also a Subway as well. Yeah, plenty of options. So if you just go onto Google, type in PLU, and then you can push a button to show all the restaurants in that area, and that will let you know all the restaurants you could go to. It also gives the time they close and their pricing and all that stuff. So pretty cool tool. All right. Are there any other questions before we convene for the evening?
Hello?
Oh, we hear someone. Who's that?
Okay, hang on. Michelle, the other Michelle on my team was trying to ask a question, and she's not on the conversation anymore. How do we notify them about a physical disabled swimmer so one-arm people are not getting DQ'd?
They just need to make sure that as the athlete is going up and getting ready, like in staging, that the person that's marshaling for their event knows, so that they can communicate that to the head official.
Okay,
And
thank you.
if someone is disqualified because of a limitation, just let us know when it happens so that we can address it and get it changed. Because
Okay.
Ken, the head official, is really understanding when it comes to stuff like that. Just sometimes if the official doesn't know, then they're going to call it because it would be a disqualification. But just make sure, try to over communicate it. Just make sure that the marshaling person knows if there's an official around when before the race starts, let them know. And then, like I said, if it does happen, we can fix it after the fact.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, looks like we have another question that came in, Jen, from Kari, and it says, for the flotation race, will swim belts be allowed? Hold on, let me get the question out. Okay, now I got to start over. For the flotation race, will swim belts be allowed as the flotation device?
Yes, so this was something that was a new addition this year. The rules were reviewed a little bit closer before the season when the codes packet went out. And in the past, traditionally, it's been strictly enforced that it had to be a flotation device. But after further review, as long as if they are wearing an aqua belt, as long as they're still able to keep their head out of the water and support themselves while they're swimming, they can wear an aqua belt. Because I know when I coached, our athletes didn't necessarily wear the life preserver at practice. We only used them a couple weeks prior and at regionals and state. So a lot of the athletes are a little bit more comfortable in the aqua belts because it gives them better range of motion with their arms, and it helps them progress as well to potentially work to getting out of a flotation race and in a 25 freestyle. So yes, flotation, the aqua belts are allowed in a flotation race as opposed to the traditional life vest. You're welcome.
Perfect. All right. Well, as promised, we are going to get you out of here before 7:30. That way you guys can go enjoy the remainder of your evening. If you have any further questions or comments, anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to myself. You can reach out to Jen, your region manager. We want to make sure that you have all the information. So, yeah, definitely. We want to answer and clarify anything before the weekend. That way, everybody coming when you show up, everybody's on the same page and everything ready to go. So thank you everybody so much for all your hard work. We really appreciate everything you've put into coaching the athletes and investing in them, and the amount of time that you're taking, even time away from your families or your busy lives to be able to come over this weekend. So we really appreciate you, and we're excited to see you next weekend. It's going to be a good time. And everybody have a good evening. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.